I'm leaving home in my 20s and I'm honestly really scared. Um, for context, I decided that I would be moving to a completely different country alone. Um, I made a video about this a few weeks ago and it's on my page and you can check it out. But I decided that I would be moving away to Spain. And between all of the excitement of getting everything done with my visa process and just yearning to be in in a different place, um, I honestly had not thought about how scary it's going to be moving away on my own, and and everything that comes with that. I am a person that's insanely attached to my parents. Like, I moved away to college for a few years, and honestly, I would come home every single weekend because I just in part felt missed my parents very much, but also felt bad about leaving them alone, which I know doesn't really make any sense. But you could tell, and everyone always calls me out for it. You can tell that I'm very attached to my parents. My parents are um a huge part of my life, and my biggest fear, I think, doing this whole process is going to be having to leave them and not seeing them for long amounts of time, or um seeing them becoming expensive and not accessible, as driving an hour from my college town to my parents' house. So that honestly, I hadn't really processed that I would be leaving my parents in this whole process. But on the other hand, I think that it's time for me to leave my parents. As I explained in my first video, I never imagined myself being someone that lived with my parents past the age of 22, and now I'm 22 and I'm very ready to just make my own life. Um, and in the same kind of in the same kind of sentiment, I'm also going to miss my brother a lot and my friends. Although I don't have many friends, um, I really made some really good friendships in college. But even then, I feel like we're all growing apart already because of the time of our lives. We all want to do different things, we all have different goals. So although I am going to miss my friends very much, I think that it's it's just a thing that happens. So that's kind of how I'm comforting myself with this whole being scared of leaving people behind kind of thing. And it's not like I'm completely going to cut these people off. I'm obviously gonna call my parents probably almost every single day because that's what I did in college as well. Even though I was away, I was calling them every single day and coming home on the weekends. But I think it'll be a really good experience. I think I'll learn to live on my own, and yeah. Um I think also I'm um I think also kind of the shock of getting on that plane is going to be insane for me. I've never been on a plane. I've never traveled before. So I'm just throwing myself into the deep end, and um I I'm nervous about it, but I know I'm not going to process it until the moment comes. I'm kind of the person that decides I'm going to do something, and we'll figure out when the time comes. We'll figure it out when the time comes. So I'm very nervous about that, but I know that I'll be able to handle it once the time comes. Um, as I mentioned before in my previous video, I'm a very flexible person. I'm a very adaptable person. So that doesn't really, it stresses me out, but not as much as leaving my parents. Um, besides all of the more like emotional stuff, I'm also very um kind of scared and nervous about the logistics of things, like the visa process, and all of that stuff. Like it's kind of like scary not knowing whether you're gonna uh be able to do something or not, and then just getting everything together, and then just thinking about how you're going to adapt to a whole new society basically. I don't expect Spain to be at all like what I'm living now. Um but I think I'm very nervous about being kind of accepted socially. I think I'm very kind of socially aware of how people act around me and how people kind of perceive me. I'm very aware, and I really worry about those things a lot. So I think that's actually second on my list about what I'm nervous about, honestly. Uh you always want to kind of fit into a certain society or a certain circle. And I I'm a very, as you guys can tell, probably I'm an expressive person. I'm a warmer kind of person, so I'm kind of nervous about how people might just kind of talk in general. I'm not used to people being very cold or dismissive, so I'm kind of scared about that. And I think being a foreigner kind of adds on to that a little bit, to that worry. So I mean, I guess I won't know until the time comes, but yeah. So but again, I'm a very adaptable person, so I hope I would be able to adapt to that. Um and besides all of the nervousness and all the anxiety and all of that, I think I'm still very excited to go on with the process. Um, Not as much my family, I feel, because it is a very big change. But I'm very excited about it, and I hope everything goes well for me. I think it will. I feel optimistic about the whole process. But yeah, I mean, this was a kind of a short video of like kind of what my expectations are and like kind of what I think I'm going to feel right as everything is going to happen. Um, I'm gonna keep making videos. I know I'm just kind of sitting down in my room for all of these, but eventually I am going to, start packing. Like me and my mom go out and buy stuff like for the whole thing. And so yeah, I think at some point I will show that kind of stuff. And even when the time comes, I'm going to kind of show people the process of just like being on a plane for the first time. And yeah, because besides that, I'm going to make kind of like a little pit stop somewhere first, with my mom. So I think it's going to be exciting to kind of document that as well. So yeah. So if you guys would like to follow kind of like my journey into stepping out into the real world, you guys should follow. And yeah, and I'll keep making videos. If you guys have any suggestions or any questions, you guys can comment as well. I'll answer. So, but yeah.